Salam and welcome. Thank you for joining me in the English reading of the Holy Quran, translation and commentary by Abdullah Yusuf Ali, published by the IPCI, the Islamic Propagation Center International. And today we are busy with a wonderful chapter, Surah. We all know it. Surah 55 is Surah Rah'maan. Alhamdulillah, what a beautiful Surah. Right, let's start with that. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alright, so before we start with the surah, we'll just look briefly at the summary. Introduction to Surah 55. 5, right? The majority of commentators consider this an early Meccan surah, though some consider at least part of it dating to Medina. The greater part of it is undoubtedly the early Meccan surah. It is highly poetical and mystical, and the refrain, "Then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ," is interspersed 31 times throughout its 78 verses, nearly half the Quran, right? At least half the chapter. Excuse me. About 40%, right? It is the sixth of the series of 7 dealing with revelation, the favors of God and the hereafter. Right? So it's about the Quran, about the ni'mah of Allah and the Akhirah. Here the special theme is indicated by the refrain, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, then which of the favors of your Lord do you deny? O Allah, we do not deny your favors, even though we cannot number them or enumerate them, right? The rhyme is in most cases is in the dual grammatical form, and the argument implies that though things are created in pairs, there is an underlying unity through the Creator in the favors which He bestows and in the goal to which they are marching, right? More or less divided up into half, verses 1 to 34 and then verses 35 to 78, right? Let's look at the summary of the first half. The summary is that God, most gracious, has sent revelation. It is Allah who has sent the Quran, one of His greatest favors to mankind. His creation is in pairs, well balanced. All created things receive the favors of the Creator Supreme, but they will all pass away, and only God, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will endure through the ages. Because Allah existed before time, and He continues to exist after time. Then in the second half, the summary, verses 35 to 78, ultimately all evil shall return to its destination, as well as all good, but ever blessed is the name of God, Lord of glory, Lord of honor, and Lord of bounty. Right, let's look at the rhythmic prose and summary, verses 1 to 34. God's creatures. Which favors of God will you deny? Most gracious is God, who reveals Himself in the Quran, and who reveals Himself within the intelligence of mankind, and who reveals Himself in the nature which is all around mankind. The laws of the worlds are the balance, and justice is a law, goodness is a law, care is a law. These are laws of His worlds. So balance and justice, goodness and care are the laws of His worlds. Created from clay, man can yet comprehend the Lord of the easts and the wests, Him who sustains all His creatures, Him who bestows the jewels of life and faith, Him who abides when all else perishes, Him whose eternity is the hope of man's future, the Lord everlasting of justice and glory and bounty and honor. Which then of the favors of your Lord do you deny? فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. O Allah, we do not deny your favors, even though we cannot enumerate them or number them, right? Okay, let's start with that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Suratul Rahman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Ar-Rahman. Allamal Quran. Khalaqal insan. Allamahul bayan. Chapter 55, Surah Ar-Rahman, O God, most gracious. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Ar-Rahman, God most gracious. It is He who has taught the Quran. He has created mankind. He has taught him speech and intelligence. Excuse me. The sun and the moon follow courses exactly computed, and the herbs and the trees both alike bow in adoration, and the firmament has he raised high, and he has set up the balance of justice in order that you may not transgress due balance. So establish weight with justice and fall not short in the balance. It is he who has spread out the earth for his creatures. Therein is fruit and date palms, producing spathes and closing dates. Excuse me, I really apologize for my throat. Astaghfirullah. Also corn with its leaves and stalk for fodder, and sweet-smelling plants. Then which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. O Allah, we do not deny your favors, though we cannot enumerate them or number them. Right, let's look at some of these commentary notes at the bottom. Some of them are quite interesting. Right, let's start with that. The revelation comes from God. The Quran comes from God, most gracious, and it is one of the greatest signs of His grace and favor. He, the Creator Supreme, is the source of all light, and His light is diffused throughout the universe. Bayan refers to intelligent speech, the power of expression, capacity to understand clearly. Let me just try and get my orientation of this book right. Capacity to understand clearly the relations of things and to explain them. God has given this to mankind, and besides this revelation in man's own heart, has aided him with revelation in nature and revelation through prophets and messengers. In the great astronomical universe, there are exact mathematical laws which bear witness to God's wisdom and also to His favors to His creatures. For we all profit by the heat and light, the seasons, and the numerous changes in the tides and the atmosphere, in which the constitution of our globe and maintenance of life depends. Najm may mean stars or collectively herbs. All of nature adores God. The balance of justice, if you look at 5.177, the balance of justice. There is a balance of justice, the mizan. Mizan, the balance of justice. In this verse is connected with the balance in the next two verses, that men and women, people must act justly to each other and observe due balance in all their actions, following the golden mean and not transgressing due bounds in anything. But the balance is also connected figuratively with the heavens above in three symbols. Firstly, justice is a heavenly virtue. Secondly, the heavens themselves are sustained by a mathematical balance. And thirdly, the constellation Libra, the constellation which shows the balance, the scales of balance, is entered by the sun at the middle of the zodiacal year. To be taken both literally and figuratively, we are talking about justice, right? They are to establish weight with justice. So to be taken both literally and figuratively, a man should be honest and straight in every daily matter, such as weighing out things which he is selling, and he should be straight, just, and honest in all the highest dealings, not only with other people, but also with himself and in his obedience to God's law. Not many do either the one or the other when they have an opportunity of deceit. Justice is the central virtue, and the avoidance of both excess and defect in conduct keeps the human world balanced, just as the heavenly world is kept balanced by mathematical order. How can God's favors be counted? Look at the earth alone. Life and the conditions here are mutually balanced for God's creatures. The vegetable world produces fruits of various kinds and corn or grain of various kinds for human food. The grain harvest yields with its fodder for animals in the shape of leaves and straw, as well as food for mankind in the shape of grain. The plants not only supply food, but also sweet-smelling herbs and flowers. So Rah'maan is a sweet basil, but is here used in the generic sense for agreeable produce in the vegetable world, right? So now let's look at this duality of 5184. Then which of the favors of your Lord do you deny? Both the pronoun your and the verb will you deny are in the Arabic in the dual number. The whole surah is a symphony of duality which leads up to unity, as explained in the introduction. All creation is in pairs. Justice is the conciliation of two opposites to unity, the settlement of the unending feud between right and wrong. The things and concepts mentioned in the surah are in pairs: man and outer nature, sun and moon, herbs and trees, heaven and earth, fruit and corn, human food and fodder for cattle, things nourishing and things sweet-smelling, and so on throughout the surah. Then there is man and jinn. Then will you deny, that is, fail to acknowledge either in word or thought or in your conduct. If you misuse the gifts of God or ignore them, that is equivalent to ingratitude or denial or refusing to profit by the infinite grace of God. Right? So this is the first of 31. There's 31 of these. So this is one out of 31. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So let's continue in the next episode, which is part number 2. So we're busy with Surah 55, part number 2. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.